What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Monster Legends. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button to show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, so there's a couple new things going on real quick. Ingenia's, or I guess is what it's called, Ingenia's myth, whatever. New monster coming up. She has the ability to disable monsters' traits and to kind of like buff your damage against artifact monsters. Kind of makes sense, could be strong. Depends on if her, trait removal actually goes through traits, because Bulwark can block it. It's kind of a crappy skill. But we'll see. We'll see. It could be really powerful. You got to collect a bunch of scrolls, apparently, to get her. We're not going to go crazy in depth on it today, because today's deal is going to be talking about the maze creatures, right? Time for analysis, peeps. It's going to happen. Alright, so there's only 3 new monsters in the maze here. One of them is going to be Muerte, Mothman, and the Montauk Creature, who I guess is actually a female. I didn't know that. Can you actually check that here? Faceless hag. Yep, it absolutely is a female. They called her a hag. How dare they? But they did. So there's only 3 new monsters. We're going to talk about those right now, so you can kind of see what they're all about before you either pick one up or whatever. So let's jump in and talk about those, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, so we're going to start here with the Epic Mothman, because 1, you get it first, 2, it's the Epic, so it's, arguably less important, and then we're going to move in from there to the Montauk, and then Muerte Mcblood. Alright, so here we are at Mothman. Like normal, we'll go through the stats, the skills, the traits, all that good jazz, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about where they're at and stuff, in their elements, in their rarities, things like that. So first up, Mothman here. Statisticals, 2,810 power. I'm not super up to date on Epic's stats, but I would assume that's a decent power level for one. I don't really know. 20,791 life, so it doesn't seem like a bad life stat either. I know there's legendaries like 22,000 life at level 100, so that's not a horrible stat for an Epic, I wouldn't think. His base speed is 2,940, so pretty decently fast, and I think in this role, speed is going to be his strong suit anyway, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. His max gold per minute, 142, not a huge deal, we're not really worried about that. The trait here, as you can see, there's been a return to the Abomination trait, which is pretty solid. I believe it's immune to possession, nightmares, and bleeding. I could be wrong on one of those. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm 76% sure I'm right. But anyways, the books, Winged and Evil Legions, relic slots, looks like traps and masks this guy can use. Again, I don't know a whole lot about the relics, but it's a new thing, so I figured I'd put this on the analysis pictures, just in case for future reference. It is important. So, there you go. Special skill here, John Keel Memories. It's kind of like a nerfed down version of, what's his name, Fognar. What it does, it's an AoE damage, and it's going to heal him by 100%, give him 100% stamina. 60 power, so not bad for AoE damage. Fognar strips off all the enemy stamina, which is a little bit, I would say, a little stronger for a denial sense, and this guy is mainly, in my opinion, that's where he kind of fits. So we're going to jump over to his skills real quick. The Flying Fear, it's a 0 damage skill, but it is AoE, and it's going to be a daze and blind to all enemies. That's really powerful. A lot of people they really underestimate daze and blind's usefulness. I would say this is a really, really, really strong deny for a couple of reasons. Almost every AoE that's in the game that's damage-based is a 90 accuracy AoE, which means 90% of the time it's going to land, 10% of the time it does not land. If you hit somebody with blind and daze, you're reducing their accuracy by 75%, which means those 90% landing AoEs is now a 15% chance to land, not to mention all the status effects also now have been nerfed down to like a 15% chance to land. So very, very strong deny, and it's also not just a one-turn thing like stun and freeze is. Blind lasts for 2 turns and daze lasts for 3. So it's actually a really strong deny, and a lot of people undersell it, and I would say really, really good Epic just for that reason, because he can be run as a denial in Epic, or he can be run in like a backup deny in support role for a better team with 3 team speeds. But moving over, we've got the Crane Destroyer. This is that a 30 power AoE? Not a big damage, but like I said, he's not really focused on damage anyway. This is going to remove 50% of the stamina of all enemy targets. That's always nice. That can do really good numbers for you. Knocking down stamina means they're going to be attacking you a whole lot less, especially when you couple that with a blind and daze. It's unlike stun and freeze where they don't get to use their stamina. When you're blind and dazed, you still get to attack. So they can still drop an attack and miss and waste that stamina, so that AoE stam drain will be much more effective in this sense, in my opinion, because they'll actually end up draining their stamina by attacking, so actually pretty solid. Moving over, we have the Infected Hands. This is a 35 power AoE poison, so again, not bad in more of a supporting role, some extra supporting damage. Poison's not bad, it's a power reduction for the enemy, so it kind of nerfs them a little bit too. Not bad. Moving down, we have the Red-Eyed Bird. This is going to be a single target, 35 power, 50% stam drain, so you could pop the AoE stam drain and then this after that for 100% stam drain on somebody, but I would say it's probably more likely you're going to do Flying Fear first, then the stam drain, and after that you probably won't really need to drain 50% stamina because they'll probably be out of stamina anyway from attacking. So it's just there in case you want to take it. It's not a bad skill to have in case you do miss somebody with your 50% stam drain. It can come in handy then. Moving over, we have the Howling Terror. This is going to be the single target version of Flying Fear. An AoE, or not AoE, a single target blind and daze. 40 power, 1 cooldown, so not bad. If you miss somebody with a blind and daze, you can come back hit them with this and make sure that they're blind and dazed. Not bad. Alright, moving over one more time, we've got the Dirty Claws. Ooh, dirty. I don't know. I don't even know. That's going to be a single target poison damage with 0 cooldown, 45 power. Like I said, this guy is not a damage dealer in any stretch of the imagination. It's just not what his strong suit's going to be. I would say if you're still running epics in your party, this guy actually makes a really solid denial monster. Yes, there are monsters immune to blind, there are monsters immune to daze, which will nerf his effectiveness a little bit. But he also works in later teams as kind of a backup support monster. Carry him in with 3 team speeds to help boost your real denial stuff, and he can come back on afterwards and do the AoE blinded daze and help out your team that way. Also the AoE poison, not a bad way to nerf the enemy's power too. So, pretty solid monster, not to mention, I almost forgot, daze is not just accuracy debuff, it is a damage debuff as well. I think it's 25, or is it 20? Cough, unprofessional, sorry. Oh, I'm gonna do it again. Not gonna do it again. Alright, we swallowed. We're fine. We're totally fine. Anyways, daze is also a power reduction, so if you stack daze with poison, the enemy will do a lot less damage, and that's also strong. So, pretty solid epic. Definitely worth picking one up just because he's really early on in the maze anyway. You might as well grab one. He works really well for low level, and he can work pretty well in a high level team as well. Alright guys, that's going to bring us over here to Montauk Creature. This is actually a female. I didn't know that, but I learned it earlier. It's amazing. Anyways, looking at her stats, 3,190 power, so really low base power, and that kind of gives you a hint as to what she's being run as, and, you know, hint, it's not a damage dealer. Alright, moving down, 27,747 life, so not a horrible life stat. Still can be one-shot, but not near as easy as she has a lower one, so not bad. Speed, 3,498, so a really fast monster. But not quite as fast as monsters like Krampus, Disaster, and who was the other one? There's another one. Metalish is really fast. But still a really fast denial. Not bad with that speed. Alright? Max gold per minute, 155. Not a huge deal, but it's there for your viewing pleasure. You're welcome. Alright? The trait, Abomination. I think all 3 of these guys have Abomination. Pretty solid trait, especially now that Possession has been buffed. It's kind of nice to be immune to it, you know what I'm saying? Still does not block Possession from Hackster or Glitch, but whatevs. It also does, I don't think it blocks the Possession from like random status effects either, because it's called Rebooted and it's not like Possess or Confuse. So doesn't block that either, and that's kind of scary. Alright, the books that it's in, the Underworld book, there you go, Spirit book, and the female book, so in 3 different spots, plus being a Dark Legendaries, 4 spots for Wars, not bad. It's always nice to have monsters in multiple spots. It's easier to, you know, focus on using those monsters and leveling them up, because they're in a lot of places. Alright, so relics, looks like a staff relic and a necklace relic. Again, I don't know a lot about those, so we're not going to delve too deep on it, but if you know a lot about it, there you go. Alright, the special skill down here is going to be an AoE Possess at 65 special power. Doesn't really matter about the damage here, because again, she's not here to do damage. It's mainly about the Possess. So that's a a controlling effect on the special, which is always nice for a denial in case you get stam drained or something by a Thades. It can still pop an ultimate that will possess the enemies, and that's always good. Alright, moving over to the skills, the first one up here is going to be the Portal to Horrors. It's a 35 power AoE with 2 cooldown, it's an AoE stun. Now, it does have a pretty high stam cost of 41, but 2-turn cooldown isn't terrible. It means you can you can't really spam it, but you can get back to it a lot faster than even some of your regular, just normal damage dealing AoEs. So that's not terrible. Moving over one more, we got the Portal to Nightmares. This is a 45 power single enemy stun. As Denial, you're going to want as many stuns as possible. Not a bad idea to carry more of them, obviously. Moving over one more time, we've got the, can't even read that. Observe the Infinite. I can read it. Don't lie, peeps. I got it. I got it. Okay, this is going to be an activating all cooldowns on one enemy, so it's a single target attack, but it doesn't backfire in cooldown Montauk, which is nice, and with her high base speed, this can come in handy hitting somebody like a General Thades, and go ahead and strip her of her ability to deny your team. So, it can go either way, can be very useful depending on how you've ruined your other monsters. If they're, a little bit faster with regular speed runes, this can come in handy because they'll get the next turn and the denial will have to recharge on the enemy team because they won't have any moves that can, deny your team. Alright, moving down, we've got the Wraith's Gate. This is a 40 power AoE, and it's going to be an AoE blind. So another backup denial there. Not quite as powerful as like a freeze, a stun, or a daze and blind together. But AoE blind is not bad, and it's not to be underestimated because it can really screw you over. Alright, moving over one more time, we got the Vacuum Gaze. Ooh, Vacuum Gaze. I don't know. It's a single target 50 power special damage. Not that that's really important, but it applies guard down to the enemy. There is a skill in Group 1 that I thought about putting over this because it had a 50% chance to stun and a 50% chance to do guard down. I didn't know if that would be more strong or not, up to you. But guard down is essentially Illuminati confirmed. They cannot dodge your attacks. It doesn't do like the healing crap on it though. It's just they can't dodge attacks. So if you hit them, they're getting hit. They're not dodging. It doesn't matter if you're blinded, dazed, someone plucked out one of your eyeballs. You're still hitting the guy, and that can be pretty helpful. All right, moving over one more time. We got the Spirit's Envy entry, I said. Not Envy, entry. I can words, peeps. It's another single target attack, but this one is going to blind one enemy. So another kind of form of single target crowd control. Obviously, as you can see from the skills here, the speed, this is a denial monster, okay? Damage dealer roll, absolutely not, doesn't work for it, doesn't even have the damaging skills to pull it off, it doesn't work, okay? You could run it in a support role, a lot of people do that with the denial monsters, they'll put 3 team speeds rune on it, 3 team speed runes on it to buff the initial denial speed, and if one of those initial denials doesn't land, you have a backup guy that can do a deny for you, and it's not a bad way to run a team speed monster in my opinion. So you could run her, I guess. You could run her in a team speed support role, but the strongest role is obviously going to be pure deny here because of that really high base speed of 3,498. It's going to put you up there with Baba Yaga, not quite as fast as Krampus or Disaster, which is kind of sucky, but it's going to be a lot faster than things like General Thades, Timerians, and stuff like that. You will be faster than them, and that's always nice, okay? So, denial for sure, 3 speed, or if you're doing support, 3 team speed. Really not any other way I would run this guy, this lady, I mean. I don't know why I call it a guy. It looks like a dude, does not look like a lady to me. But whatever, that is the Montauk Creature, and that's going to take us over to Muerte Mcblood. Alright, so here we are at the Golden Enchilada, the big boy of the maze, the big top dog new monster that everybody's gunning for, and you can get him for free. If you don't know how to do that, you can check out my video on the key hunting guide that'll tell you how to get there. It's going to be very, very tough for a free-to-play player, but it is possible. Alright, with that being said, let's jump in and talk about him. So, the stats, the power, 3,498 base power, really high power stat, great for damage dealing, obviously. The life, 29,556, so a pretty solid life stat as well. That's never bad. Moving down, 3,432 base speed, so he's not the fastest, but he's not a denial monster, so his base speed's not nearly as important as it is for denial. Okay, so still a decent base speed, though, not bad at all. Moving down, his gold per minute, 155, kind of booty hole. There actually is all pretty much bad gold per minutes in this phase, but whatever, not a huge deal. The trait, Abomination, of course, they all have got that. Pretty solid immune to possession, nightmares, and bleed. not bad, not bad. Books, he is in 3 different books, which is great. He's the Undead, Families, and Evil Legions. Not to mention, again, he's a dark monster, so 4 different spots for wars. That's always great. Means you can use them in more spots, and that's always nice. Alright, relic slots, he can wear a mask and a sword. So I don't, again, not even going to talk about it. I don't know a lot about relics. We'll talk about that some other day when I learn more about them. Alright, the special skill down here, going to be Vampire Trick. It says it deals massive dark damage to one enemy, but may possess all enemies. Now, almost every time, for some reason, the wiki either misstates things or it gets things wrong. I don't know if this actually is an AoE damage with AoE possess, or a single target damage and single possess, or a single target damage with AoE possess. Because according to the wiki, it can be any of these things. They have a notoriously bad past for getting these things wrong. I don't know why. You'd think they would get that right, but they don't always. So that's kind of a guesswork. We'll see. If I ever get one, then we'll know. Alright, the skills here. First up, we're going to make No One Calls Me Bat. Alright, this is a 50 power AoE, which is always really, really strong. It's very easy to buff these to do pretty crazy damage. Just straight up dark damage, though, nothing else attached to it. It shouldn't be at 50 power. It's kind of ridiculous. Does have a 3-turn cooldown, and it is dark-based damage, so in a Dark War, not the strongest, but it's not super bad either. Moving over, we have the Inherited Fangs. This is going to be a 70 power special base single target attack, so very heavy damage. Its special damage means unresistible, and it's going to heal him for as much damage as he deals. Kind of like Clivia, this is going to be one of those monsters that you might want to run 1 life rune on, just because it's going to maximize that life capability of regenning his life. And if he's almost down, you pop this with double damage, you're going to heal up like 30,000-40,000 life. That's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane. Alright, so moving over, we've got the, what is that, the Orlok Curse. It's a 40 power AoE bleed. It is dark based damage again. Not very effective against people with the Abomination trait, obviously, because bleed is blocked. But it is a decent way to debuff your enemies, because bleeding is not only a life reduction, it is a power reduction as well. So it does make your enemies slightly weaker. And that's always nice for you, the attacker. Alright, moving down, we've got the Blood Drinker. This is pretty much a weaker version of the Inherited Fangs. It's a 55 power, 2 cooldown, and again, it's going to heal you by as much damage, damage as you deal. Alright? Moving over one more time here, we've got Back to the Damage. This is going to be a double damage skill for himself, and it also applies evasion. Now, the question here is whether this is evasion or like Phantom and Camouflage is, where you can still receive status effects. If it's pure evasion, like Fognar's evasion, it'll be a very strong skill, because you cannot have any status effects landed on you while you're being, you know, invisible, which means you can't be frozen, stunned, or anything like that, which is great, blinded even, because if it is Camouflage or Phantom where you can receive status effects, it's going to be a much, much weaker buff, because it's very easy to blind somebody. If they have double damage, they can still miss. You can stun them, freeze them, and kind of waste that double damage for them. So it kind of depends on what that evasion really is. It could be strong. I'd probably recommend taking it anyway, because it is a self-damage buff plus evasion. You dodge some damage. It's not bad. Alright, moving over one last time, we've got the Nosferatu Claws. This is going to be a 60 power single target attack that makes the enemy bleed. So another really heavy damage. Not so great in Dark War, obviously, because it's dark based damage. But a single target bleed with 60 power can do a lot of damage against, obviously, people that are not Dark Element. Now, what does this guy run as? Obviously, damage dealer. Okay, he doesn't have any denial skills at all. He doesn't really have any role in a support. Even, like, I don't see him being a support monster either. Not really a good use for him. But damage dealer for absolutely sure. Again, this is one of those few monsters I would say can benefit from a life, a strength, and a speed, or a life, strength, and team speed. It can work because of the fact that he's going to have a lot of really strong healing power. Having a big life pool gives him more leeway of taking damage to heal himself all the way back up. Up to you. Of course, you can always run him in the traditional role of damage dealer with 1 speed, 2 strength, 1 team speed, 2 strength, 2 speed, a strength, or 2 team speed and a strength. All of those sets will work well for him, I would say. There's no reason they wouldn't. But there it is, guys. Muerte Mcblood. Lots of heals, lots of damage. That 50 power AoE is nuts. Double damage, it's 100 power AoE, guys. It's going to be crazy. A lot of damage there. Very hard to get, but I would say he's pretty worth it if you do. Okay, so there you go, guys. Let's jump back and finish this up. Alright, guys, So there was all the new monsters from the Hidden Creatures maze. They are pretty solid. The Epic isn't bad. The Montauk Creature's a really solid denial. And Muerte Mcblood, if you actually can get to him, you can for free to play. My Key Hunter's Guide will show you how to do that. But it is pretty tough to get him, really tough. But he's a pretty solid monster, really good damage dealer, 50 power AoE, pretty crazy. But there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, don't forget to leave those down there, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you liked the video, please make sure you smash that thumbs up button to show your support, and I will see you guys next time.